What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dripping Creativity Podcast. I am your host, Chris Corvin, and today we are joined by one hell of a creator and an author. We have Matt, a Midwest native who is all about poetry, blogging, and turning every moment into art. He's a social media manager, writer, freelance graphic creator at Creative James Media, helping market indie authors' books, and crafting visuals that pop. And if that isn't enough, he's gearing up for a March 2025 book release, Small Town Chaos, a gripping crime fiction mystery thriller. And he also runs two awesome YouTube channels. That is like almost as much shit as I do, man. That's freaking awesome. Stick around. We're going to dive into the journey. It's going to be so much fun. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. You know, it is a lot, as you said. I do tend to take on more than, let's say, my grandpa used to say, you take on more than your appetite. But I love it. I mean, I don't get as much time to do what I like to do with my stuff anymore, per se. This book has been done for a while. So it's been kind of just a republish, if you will. Because, you know, working for Creative James Media, I basically, Monday through Saturday, I run all of the socials. I make sure all the posts go up. I create the posts, interact, you know, all those kinds of fun things on every single platform, as well as every single one of my own platforms. So it's fun. I never thought, if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I'd be doing this for a living, I would have said, yeah, not a chance. I didn't even think it was possible. Because, you know, you see the people who are YouTubers, quote unquote, right, with the millions of followers and stuff, and you're like, man, wouldn't that be nice? But the more I got into this job, the more people, you know, make the comment, oh, it must be so nice to work from home and work for yourself. I said, you don't know what that means. And that's not being rude.
That is definitely one of the things that I have to explain a lot. It's like, okay, you have a 9 to 5. You get to start and stop work. I'm here. I never stop working. I have to force myself to stop working because I'm always here. And it's like, hey, I might as well do something. Why not do some work?
Yeah, and that's my thing too. Like, for me, if I'm laying in bed and I can't sleep, and I know there's for a simple fact, there's things that need to be done. Even if they're not due for like a week or two, I'm like, okay, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, I have to get up. We're going to get some coffee. We're going to get a liquid death, whatever time of day it is. And we're just going to jump into something because I can't do it.
I hear that. All right. Let's kind of start way at the beginning here. How did kind of growing up in the Midwest shape your creative journey? Were there any particular moments or local vibes that still inspire you today?
Well, for me, it started because my Uncle David is a comic book creator. Well, he still does sometimes. The illustrations and things like that for people. A lot of his friends growing up started creating comics and have, you know, made a name for themselves. And then he was also a professional photographer. So that kind of, you know, as well as, you know, being into comic books himself, like, this man had a whole bedroom just for boxes of comic books. Like, I don't know if you remember those long white boxes that were used for yeah, he had like 30 of them. So, you know, it was always around the corner. And then, as every kid does, you know, I got hooked on Pokemon and Power Rangers and all those things. And from there, it just became, it morphed into music for me after that. You know, I was singing all the time, and I played the trumpet. And then I did musicals in high school, and it just took off. It was anything that I could do creatively to kind of, I want to say escape from the world. Sounds wrong to some people. That's really what it was. It was something that I could do to kind of pull myself back and do some inner looking, while at the same time still putting together something that at least I thought was kind of cool. And then also growing up on a farm too, you kind of got lots of things to look at, lots of things to imagine, because there wasn't really like per se like toys and things. I mean, I had a metal Tonka truck, for those that actually remember those. I'm talking the Shinbreaker 9000. Okay. And a couple other little things. Other than that, it was, man, my mom would kick me in the butt and say, "Get the hell outside. Don't come home.
Don't come back until it's dinner time or the sun comes down or goes down."
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
exactly. A lot of people look at me weird when I tell them that. They're like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "Yeah, me and my sister used to go down to the creek when we had to stay at my grandma's house and like just look for frogs and, trape through the cornfield down there, and like, it's literally what we did."
Well, it was a different time for sure.
It really was. Yeah.
You had to create the worlds and universes instead of going online and finding them. All right, so you have a love of poetry and blogging and all of that. Kind of showcases how you see the world. How do everyday experiences kind of transform into the art you create?
That's a good question. I mean, like, for example, my book, this one was basically, so for those who don't follow me, I have a degree in criminal justice. At one point in time, I thought I wanted to be a cop. And I did my internships and externships and things, and graduated, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't want to deal with this. Like, it's, I'm not dogging on the police at all. I was just like, yeah, this job is not for me. And I ended up doing what every fresh out of college kid does, and working at Subway and, places like that. And so this book really became, okay, what can I do with my degree? The things that I learned on the farm growing up in the small farm community, like, what can I bring into it? So when you read this book, you really get a sense of what people have told me, and what I feel is that when you read it, you really just get a sense of like, oh man, this would be a nice little small town to grow up in. Like, there's not much going on. It's really easy. It's real quiet, And that's kind of what I wanted to portray, because it's like, I used everything in this book is 100% accurate for the 90s, for police procedures, police equipment. I had to go back and look a few things up because I was so rusty, but everything is factual. I had somebody call me out and say, hey, they use a cell phone in this book. That's not in the 90s. Yes, actually, there was. They weren't what you think, though. I remember, because fun little story, when my grandpa passed away, we cleaned out the van that he had, and we found one of the brick Nokia phones in there, and I was like, "Yep."
My grandpa had the exact same thing, man. He had that, and then he moved to the Starlight, or the StarTech flip one.
Yep,
the original flip phone.
Yeah. We only flipped down the one piece, and otherwise it was like a brick. And,
Oh yeah.
It was, and so other than that, I made everything factual. I tried to use as much hometown knowledge and things like that, and I really just tried to paint the scene the best I could. So when you're reading the book, you're like, wow, like that. What a peaceful drive that would be. But yeah,
well. Since we're on the book now, we can kind of move into some discussions about that one.
Yeah.
So,
funny.
We kind of figured it. Well, no, go ahead.
Funny enough, the blurb actually dropped today.
Hey,
I can read that if you'd like. I actually have that.
Yeah. Hit it up, man.
Because we have blurb reveal today, which is the 11th. The book actually comes out on March 11th, so we're doing like a 1 month. And cover reveal is Thursday. So. This is the blurb for the upcoming book. When death finds a member of the small farming community of Elroy, Chief Matt Mason knows his station isn't equipped to handle the investigation of such a gruesome murder. He puts in a call for assistance, and in answer to his call, he receives Sergeant Terry Green from the IDCI. Armed with Terry's big city expertise, Chief Mason leads his team as they battle a lack of resources and the weight of charting unknown territory to solve the case.
Excellent. Love it. That's some good hype there. I dig that.
We tried, we tried. It's not it's not as long as most, but I thought it was to the point.
You know what? Blurbs don't need to be long. They don't need to be short. As long as it's more than like 1 or 2 sentences.
Exactly.
I think you want to give somebody enough to understand the tone they're going to get in the book, a quick understanding of what the story is, and then make it gripping, and then you got yourself a solid blurb. All right, so that's kind of our already a minor sneak peek into the world, but let's talk about more of the world. What's the vibe and atmosphere that readers can expect?
So it's set in a fictional town, which is kind of loosely based off my hometown. I named it Elroy, and it's basically, if you look back in the 90s, and there's still a few of them around today, but they're mostly revamped and run down anymore. But it's a really small town where their main thing is just farming. You've got a convenience store, a grocery store, your dinky city hall and police station and couple parks and things like that. Other than that, there's nothing like major. There's no movie theaters. There's no anything like that. And it's basically, I wanted to give people the feel of, what it's like doing some of the things that I did growing up and seeing some of the things that I saw. So, for example, I have a line in there about the chief driving to work in the morning. And he says that he remembers what time of year it was because when he drove to work, driving down the gravel road, all he could see was grain trucks lining the edge of the fields, waiting to be filled up. And about how that was, the prettiest sight to people from that kind of living, because it really is. It just gives you that kind of like, life is simple, everybody knows everybody. It's just kind of, to me, it's kind of raw. It takes it back to what we were before all of this, before the super hustle and bustle, before it was, I have to grind, otherwise I die, or, the jumping from one project to the next, because if I don't, I'm going to explode. We worked on one thing at a time, and when that was done, we gave ourselves time to rest, and we, moseyed around, and we just relaxed. Like, we didn't take life seriously, seriously enough to stay alive by keeping your head on a swivel. But
I don't know, there's several times where I'm pretty sure I should have died.
You and me both.
Which is, there was a big incident with a tree when I was younger. Probably should have died during that one. Anyway, so we've already kind of talked about your process and the research gone into this one. Was there anything else that you kind of had to focus on when it came to researching for the book and plotting it out? Was there anything that you didn't know before that you ended up going, oh shit, that's pretty cool?
Honestly, not really. I mean, because my whole aim was, I wanted to do a creative project that, one, would kind of just help me unwind and relax, because I have PTSD. And so writing is just one thing that's always helped me to get out of my head and kind of move around freely and kind of express things. And I was just like, okay, if we're going to do this, I'm going to write about what I know, which is why I wrote about farming. I wrote about crime. A lot of the characters are named after people I know. For example, Chief Matt Mason. Well, my name's Matt. He has the same college degree as me. One of the other characters is named after a buddy of mine who actually works in the agriculture industry. So I didn't want to have to do a ton of research. I didn't want to have to make it feel like a job. I didn't want to feel like a chore, like, oh man, I got to research this. It takes all the fun out of it. So I feel like the people who read it are going to understand, and they're going to be able to see, like, wow, he just had fun with it. He just wrote what he knows, and you'll see in the expressions and the mannerisms, and it's really just small town speak. That's all it is. I don't know. I loathe research. When you spend 4 years in university, you're just like, I'm done. I'm done.
I 100% get that. 100%. All right. So then let's actually kind of talk about your writing process there. Are you a pantser? Are you a planter? How do you go about writing your stories?
This is where I get myself in trouble, because I am just you take the title of the book and it tells you everything you need to know. I am pure chaos. I mean, the most planning I did for this book, to be 100% honest, is I wrote down all the characters' names, what their role was. I wrote down the town name. I wrote some key places that were going to be seen multiple times, and just like a few key details that would be revisited multiple times, so that way I didn't have to like scroll to the top of the book to look at it. Excuse me. Other than that, I didn't write anything down. I don't like to.
Hey, it works for several people. There's nothing wrong with that way at all. But that kind of brings up the thing, because like for me, I'm a mixture of both. Is I have a general outline of what I expect the story to be from start to finish, with key moments that happen throughout.
Right.
And then as I go, I kind of let the characters do what they want, and 9 times out of 10 it veers off into crazy different places. Right. And I end up somewhere totally different. But I prefer to have that structure to start. When you are going pure chaos, is there a lot of going back and rewriting things to match what you've just come up with, or is it kind of just you're able to stay in the lane that you're in?
Not really. I mean, I have this weird thing where if I come up with a really good idea, like I'm talking, if I think it's going to have the potential to cause me to have to rewrite a bunch, what I'll do is I'll take that thought or that sentence and put it in a separate document and just write with it and run with it to see where it's going to go before I start unpacking my entire novel and rewriting stuff to fit that idea. Because my rule is, if I can't sit there and after 10 minutes, if I can't have 3 or 4 paragraphs off that idea, it's not worth ripping apart my book for. And a lot of people disagree with that. But honestly, I'll say this as a writer: 1, everybody's going to write different, and 2, you do what works for you. We're not, at least I'm not here to be some Dean Koontz or fucking Stephen King. Like, I'm here to just share with you something that I thought was cool. That's it.
Definitely. And I can tell you, after interviewing now, I don't even, there's so many authors, so many different writers. There is no one set way.
Exactly.
There is finding and honing what works for you, and
Right.
utilizing what other people can teach based on, doing
Exactly.
all that. 'Cause most of the time, as long as you are willing to learn and grow as a writer, you will take inspiration points from everywhere, from every different style of writing. I mean, like how I write now is nowhere near what I used to be,
Right.
a couple of years ago. So it's an ever-growing process, and it's
Exactly.
just, don't get cocky, because the second you get cocky about your writing style, you probably suck.
Exactly.
I'm just,
Well, and that's one reason too, harkening back to like the beginning of things, is that's why I get asked a lot with my poetry. I pretty much exclusively write haikus, and people are like, why don't you try another form or try this? And I'm like, look, because I'm not writing it because I think I'm some Shel Silverstein. All right, I'm writing it because I like the challenge. And what people often don't think about is that haikus are 5, 7, 5. So you have 5 syllables, 7, and then 5. 3 lines. That's it. Okay, to express the entire idea of what you're trying to say. So imagine taking your novel and only getting 3 lines with that many syllables to tell your entire story. That's why I like it, because it's the challenge of, okay, what can I come up with that is going to hold people's attention but also make complete sense. And that's why I like it, because it's a challenge for me. It's like, that's why it's writing poetry is always a good way for therapy and things like that, because you literally get lost in trying to build this world, for lack of a better term, to just share your idea or your thought or your feeling. And that's kind of the same way I do with my writing. It goes where it goes. I'm not naive. I know this book and anything else I write is not going to make me a millionaire. It's not going to make me thousands of dollars.
You never know, man.
I don't expect it to. I never didn't write this book and think, oh God, I'm gonna get rich. I'm gonna get famous. Ah, man, it was, for me, the funny part is this started as like a goal on the bucket list. I said, man, I love to write. I'm real crap at it. But I one day am going to write a book and get it published. That was the goal. And then I had started the book, and I put a question on Twitter long time ago. Probably like 2021. And I said, so if I was to write this kind of a book, would anybody be interested in reading it? Because it takes a specific person to read it, because I write strictly like first person. So it's that character telling the story, the entire time. And most of the time it's like a flashback. So it's that person telling that story, basically. And somebody was like, somebody commented and said, if you're asking for permission, you're clearly not a writer. You can't write a book. And I said, challenge accepted. And 9 months later, that shit was banged out and in my Google Drive. I was like, tell me I won't. Tell me I won't.
Spite is a great motivator. I've said this several times on the podcast. I love spite. It's wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. As we kind of, weave in and out of everything, I think touching on music is actually a very important thing here. So we all know that a killer playlist is the secret sauce to creativity. How does music influence your writing and graphic design even?
I mean, that's a hard question. Even though I'm like a music head, it's still a hard question, because I listen to so much stuff, and like a lot of it, most people are like, who the hell is that? Every time. Because I listen to people, I don't know if you've heard of a band, they're called Silverstein.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Silverstein.
So I love their stuff. Like before we hopped on today, I was actually listening to their song called Skin and Bones. Love that song. But I discovered them through their song. They have a song called The Afterglow, which is kind of like, it kind of gives me like, you probably remember this, but like early 2000s punk. Like we're middle school punk, and that's the kind of vibe that it gives me. And I was like, oh, well, what else do they got? And then I listened to their other albums, and I'm like, oh, no, this is heavy. Okay, I'm down. Because I listen to everything from Five Finger Death Punch to Linkin Park to country music to, Jesus. Like there's a band that I've really been into lately called Watch House. For those, like if somebody wants a really good song to listen to by them, it's at the top of my playlist. It's called Hard Traveling. It's really good. But I like a lot of music that isn't always like mainstream. Like I like a lot of indie jam bands, local people. I've got lots of friends who do music. And so it's really just whatever I'm feeling. I like music that speaks to me. I like music that's got a story. And that can motivate, but can also like bring you out of a funk or remind you of things like, hey man, we're all here, we all fuck up, but if we do what we do when we have a plan, that kind of thing. So, I mean, there's no rhythm or rhyme to what I listen to and when, honestly.
So then when you're writing or doing graphic design and all that stuff, like, do you have specific playlists you go to? Like, I know a lot of writers, when they're focusing on scenes, they encompass that with the music.
No, like, my biggest thing is, so before I start writing or I start doing whatever, like when I'm setting things up and opening things and creating the templates and doing all that before I actually get into the creating, I'll put on usually like something heavy, something to just be like, okay, brain, wake up, let's do this kind of thing. And then after that, I literally go to my likes playlist and I put it on shuffle. And you get everything from independent music to country to rock to folk to blues to everything. And it just shuffles it through. And for me, it's more of, and the reason I go to my likes playlist, because I know you probably asked that, is because it's all of my favorites just rolled into one. So basically, you're not going to get a shitty song because it's everything that you like. And a lot of times, to grow that playlist, when I'm just perusing the internet or I'm working, I'll go to my playlist and be like, I only know 2 songs by them. Let me click on their name and explore some more music. And that's literally just how I find new music. I just, and it may not be new necessarily, because some albums might be old, but hell, it's new to me. It's something, that I like.
So let's kind of do some quick touching on inside Creative James Media there.
Mm-hmm.
So the overall concept is just market indie authors and creating visuals for stories and stuff like that. How long have you been with them, and have you were able to pull off any inspiration and influences that you pulled into your own work?
Well, the great thing about Creative James Media is the fact it's the community that we have, right? We have my boss, Jean, amazing lady. And I've known her for a long time. So backstories, last year I had a YouTube channel that I deleted. Now, before I deleted that, I had that one for 5 years, and I did nothing but interviews. I'm talking authors, actors, musicians, everybody. And it just came to the point where it was, in order to progress it past 200, I had to delete it and start over again because it was just so much of a mishmash of things. But I was doing some interviews at the time because I was working for another publisher. And Gene reached out and said, hey, I've got a few authors that need some interviews. Would you be willing to do that for us? I said, well, sure. I'm always up for meeting some new buddies. Like, why not, And then I became really good friends with those authors. And when this last publisher closed, I reached out to Jean and I said, hey, I kind of don't want to stop working in this world. Would you need my skills? And she said, yes, actually. And I was hired and I started this last July. Technically, my contract started in August, but I started getting things ready and doing the work in July so we could be ready to go in August. And since then, it's just I make sure Monday through Friday there's posts up, create graphics, work with authors if they need help and have any questions, if they're stuck. Because in our contracts it does state that, in their contracts it does state that they're in charge of their own marketing. But I've made it abundantly clear, as long as you prove to me that you're trying, and you're making an effort to market, you can ask me for help. That's fine. But if you're not doing anything, then I'm not going to put my time into that, because we have other authors who are truly struggling and could use some help. And that's where I put my time. I also, speaking of interviews, you were talking about it. I've done interviews over YouTube for 6 years. I do them on my current YouTube channel, well, one of them, and then I also do it with our company YouTube channel. So it's nothing new for me, but yeah, it's a great job. I mean, it's allowed me to learn a lot of things that I didn't know about the publishing world. For instance, there's a thing called vanity publishing, where basically you have to pay the publisher and such and things. And I was like, wait, what? That exists? Why? And so, just all these things, and I just do my best to contribute and hope that the work that I'm doing is leading to the success that we want as a company, but also for our authors, because we leave it open, for the authors to reach out to me. Like if, lately, I've been doing a lot of book review posts, like creating a graphic and putting up a review of a certain book to kind of just bring it back to the light and be like, hey, don't forget about this book. Check out what this person said. And someone reached out to me and said, hey, I've noticed you've been doing a lot of the book reviews and I like it. Could you do one for my book for this one? Because it's not really doing well. I said, sure. I said, but I can't get it out until like next month because we're already booked solid with 2 releases and all this kind of stuff. So, because that's one thing people don't realize either. What goes in to a release? If you've self-published, you know the deal. Like it's not easy. But yeah, I don't know. It's not too complicated. It's not. My boss just says, hey, I need this. And I said, okay. And she's like, here's when we need it. I'm like, good. And then she just lets me do my thing.
As long as you enjoy it, that's what matters.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, honestly, it helps that for certain platforms you can schedule. So I will create things well ahead of time if I have the information, and schedule them so then it's one less thing you have to do. And if I can't schedule it, I at least keep it in the folder. So then it's done. But yeah, it's fun. It's not for everybody. It's really not. But yeah.
No, I 100% get it on all levels. Let's actually, now you had mentioned it. Let's talk about your YouTube channels there. Mm-hmm. Tell me about them, what they are, where people can find them.
So I have 2 currently at the moment. One is called The Adventures of Matt. And I titled it that because it really is an adventure. So I'm doing strictly interviews and not so much authors as much anymore. Like I'm still doing a few, but I've made it my mission to just talk to a variety of people. So like already I've talked to a new buddy, Michael, who does, who's an author, but also does SEO and marketing for his job. My friend Sarah, who is an author and a mental health advocate. And, we talked about her yearly Rock for Hope, where she literally puts on a rock concert in the community to raise hope for the Suicide Prevention Foundation. I talked to my buddy who's a streamer and a YouTuber. We've got a buddy of mine who is in a very successful band that we'll be getting with to talk to. I've got a comic book creator. So I'm just trying to change it up and make it different. Talking about things that I also enjoy. And just kind of going back and forth on what we both know and what we both liked, and just having a fun conversation. The second channel is called Matt's Indie Book Club. And basically, I started it as a way to just promote books. So like every month I do of my book recommendations. So I'll give you the tagline and the cover for 3 or 4 of my favorite books from that month. I've also stuff for my books goes up. So I've done some teaser trailers for my book. I've also opened it up to people. If you're trying to promote your book and you have a short that you use to advertise your book, if you give that to me and send me your preferred purchase link for people to buy your book, I'll put it up, I'll advertise it, I'll run it, and just another way to give back, because like my feeling is like none of us are, some names are bigger than others, of course, but like we're all in this together. Like marketing's a bitch, whether you want to admit it or not. So the more we can do to help each other, the better. Like I even have on Amazon, I have a list of, and it stays on my link tree at all times, of just my book recommendations. There's just book after book after book of every genre, of every varying length, of just people who are like, hey, can I put mine on there? Sure, give me the title and put it on there. And so then when people visit my link tree, they can be like, oh, I need a new book to read. Oh, well, here's this list. It's got, I don't even know how many anymore, but it's growing. So that YouTube channel is really small. I would love to grow it. I think it's at like 10 subscribers right now. And there's more videos going up right now. There's 3. With both of my jobs, I don't always get to do as much YouTube as I want. So on my one channel, there's 1 interview a month, and that's about what you get, because finding my time, finding that person's time, thumbnail creation, advertising creation, on top of all my stuff. But I won't stop doing it. It's just, I told people when I created the new channel, I said, hey man, I said, you're going to get one when you get one. I'm going to try to do 1 a month. If I can do more than that, cool. But I'll at least get you 1 a month. And I honestly just pre-film the best I can, a month or 2 ahead of time. So that way it's just done. But yeah, it's nothing huge. I would love to grow them, but also I realize, that kind of stuff isn't everybody's cup of tea. So,
it is the downside to a niche industry is getting and finding the reach is it's a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I found too with my first channel. I was like, I was doing a bunch of authors and they were doing well. But then I did a musician buddy of mine, and it tanked. And I was like, that's because I built my freaking audience around authors and readers. And I'm like, that's not how I want it, because I want to talk to who I want to talk to. It's my channel. So I was more clear this time in my intro video. I was like, look, man, you're going to get what you're going to get. I appreciate you supporting one. If you want to support all, that'd be even more appreciated. But you'll see if you watch the conversations. It's just 2 people talking about what they love and sharing knowledge, sharing stories, just having a good time. That's
Awesome. I love it. All right. So then to kind of close this up before we get into the rapid fire discussion there, do you have any behind the scenes tidbits or creative challenges that you've encountered when either putting together the book or any one of your channels or anything like that?
Book signings. Let me tell you what. The Midwest sucks when it comes to book signings. At least my part of the Midwest. Because if you can't draw a giant crowd, or you don't have proof that you can draw a giant crowd, if you can't make them X amount of money, then they don't want to talk to you. The first release of this book, I got one, and it was in the small, stuffed little corner on a tiny couch of a comic store, and I was thankful for it. I was great. I didn't sell a single fucking book because nobody could see me. And so this time I'm like, well, it's on me. So I started calling libraries. I started calling bookshops in my town that I knew had the space. And persistency is key, I guess, because I just had one that I've been talking with. I got up the courage and I called the store, and the lady took my information, and probably about 20 minutes later, I got a text from the owner of the business. He's like, hey, yeah, this and this, and I'd be interested in email me some stuff. And now we're setting that up for the weekend, book launch weekend. I just had another one that I emailed last month email me back this morning and say, hey, yeah, can you get some more information? So it's looking like we're going to have 2 signings. I'm not looking to go crazy with them, but that was just one of my things. That's one of the experiences that I wanted to have. Because I'm not much of, I may seem like it, but I'm not much of a public person. I don't like to people, as they say. But I was like, man, if you're gonna write the book, you might as well meet some people who want to read it and talk to them about it and let them ask questions. And I'm also getting an artist friend of mine. She's creating some custom bookmarks that will only be available at the first couple signings. And I made some coffee is life stickers, some little cool stickers that I created from scratch that will be sold as well, because, well, we're in a coffee shop, so you might as well. But yeah, I mean, that's been the hardest part. Like writing it is easy, you know. Well, not easy, but like the easiest. But then it comes to this kind of stuff where it's like, oh, this is your first thing. Oh, where have you done one before? What do you need? How many people? I'm like, I had one say, oh, well, just make sure you're not hounding our customers to buy your book. Most people are in and out. I'm like, that's fine. Just give me a corner, give me a table, and let me do my thing. I'm not going to bug them. I'm going to wave at them and be friendly. And if they so happen to come over and want to buy a book, cool. If not, at least I have the event experience under my belt of, okay, well, next signing, if I do this or place myself here or do this, you know, table cover or whatever, that maybe I can appeal a little more to people to want to come check it out.
Definitely. I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed with a lot of authors right now is the lack of focus on the local building. Mm-hmm. It's oh no, I got to make the online sales. It's like, well, no, like you can't. You can grow an audience, sure, but you're not going to get a base unless you're getting out there and meeting people and making calls, not just sending emails, but making calls to these places. Yep. And getting out there. Like that's honestly the best way to start, is just start local, branch out from there. Exactly. All right. We are going to jump into the rapid fire questions time before we wrap up here. So take a second, take a drink.
Ooh, all right, let's do this.
For these unbelievably difficult questions.
Oh man,
they're so hard, man. It's just gonna rack your brain for this one. My cat is screaming at me again. This is becoming a constant here. All right, number one.
I thought I'd like you. Come on.
Number one, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Are you a digital or an analog creator?
Both.
Which do you prefer?
Digital.
3 words to describe your creative process.
Chaotic, unusual, and lengthy.
Lengthy. Wow, that's a new one. I haven't heard that one yet. Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Really? How early you get up?
3 to 4 a.m.
Damn, what the hell are you doing getting up that early, man? It's even early for me.
You got to realize not every author that we have is going to be in the United States.
It's still, like, are we talking daily you're up at that time?
Oh, yeah.
No. Boundaries, man, boundaries. What is your best song to crank up when you need inspiration?
Oh, man, now you're really pushing it. I would probably have to say, oh God, you're really eating at me. There's a song called Endless Enemies by my buddies over at 22 Salute. It's just, I don't know, it's really fast-paced, really good rock song, and it just kind of speaks to like the tone of like, man, don't play me, I'm not gonna play you, like I'm gonna do my shit whether you like me or not. So
that is solid choice. Do you have a favorite quote that fires you up?
I mean, I have to think about it. I mean, honestly, you know, it's something I say all the time that seems to piss people off. Is I just say it is what it is, man. Like, in the words of Joe Dirt, life's a garden. You just gotta dig it. Like, literally, man. Like, some things you just can't control, and those things that you can't, you just gotta let them roll off. And if you let them bother you too long, you're gonna put yourself in the ground. So, I mean, it is what it is.
All right, I don't know about firing you up, but that is a good life one to go.
I'm not much for one for like purposely having to psych myself up. Like, I'm just like, look, man, either I want to do this or I don't.
What is your go-to snack for creative boost?
Oh man. Okay, so as of lately, it's so this is gonna make me sound like a kindergartner, but I'm all for it. So they're chocolate covered graham crackers. They're really good.
There's nothing wrong with that. That is delicious. I don't care what anyone says. That is delicious.
Right?
All right. So I need you to sell me your book in 5 words.
Oh, fuck. You're really making me think, man.
Dude, this is hard shit. This is the hardcore show.
You're getting into the hardcoreness that only, like... and 5 words... Chaos, triumph, community, perseverance, and respect.
Solid words to go with. I dig it. You throw that right on the jacket. Just those 5 words alone.
I mean...
And then finally, the most important, most difficult question I'm going to ask you today. Where can people find you and your work?
Your best bet is to go to my Linktree, which is linktree.com/MattsRandomRamblings, and you will find all of my links, including all of my published works, all of my social media, and that lovely book recommendations list that I was talking about is down at the bottom. I'm on a few platforms, mainly Facebook, Instagram, Threads. Yeah, that's about it, and YouTube. I think that's it. I don't get on too much these days.
Hey man, it's you know, there's a lot of shit going on.
Yep,
that's how it goes. But all right, Matt, thank you so much. It has been an absolute blast to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Everybody listening, make sure to go and check out Matt's Random Ramblings and check that out. The book is coming out March 22nd.
11th.
And why did I say 20? Why did I have 22nd in my head?
I don't know. I don't even know if I mentioned the 22nd.
Weird. I don't think so either. Anyways, Small Town Chaos comes out March 11th, 2025. Make sure to grab it. Is it pre-ordering it right now?
It is right now, actually. It's in my Linktree. The pre-order link is in there.
Excellent. I'll make sure to throw a link of that down below in the description. Make sure to follow Matt. And this has been an absolute blast. My name is Chris Corvin. You can find me everywhere at Chris of the Void. This is the Dripping Creativity Podcast, part of the Creative Catalyst Cafe Network. We just launched our second channel, which is the gaming channel. So that's a lot of fun. Go and check that out. I got some good cyberpunk shit coming out there. It's good. It's so much fun. And a bunch of other shit happening in the community. Make sure to join us there. It is going to be a blast. Thank you all. And until next time, remember, stay creative, stay inspired. I'll see you later. Bye.